Every race day since 1970, Today's Racing Digest has been providing horse players with unique handicapping information and an in-depth analysis of each day's races. Today's Racing Digest has developed the following educational seminar, which is presented by James Quinn. James is a nationally renowned expert on thoroughbred horse racing and an author of 9 books on handicapping.
How fast is your horse? Welcome to speed handicapping, a very important methodology in trying to pick winners. How fast are the horses? The attributes of class are speed, stamina, and determination, and speed figures will at least tell you how fast they are based on time. Sometimes the speed figures reflect stamina and determination, and sometimes they don't. So let's get into it. What are speed figures? Speed figures are numbers arranged on a scale that attempt to measure how fast a horse ran in a particular race. Horse earns a speed figure for each one of his races, and generally the higher the number, the faster the horse ran. It's important to say that fractional times and final times are not good indicators or reliable indicators of how fast a horse is run. So what speed handicappers do, they take the actual times of race and they adjust them based on the class of the race and how fast or slow the track is playing in relation to what is normal, often called a track variant. But they adjust the actual times, they come up with a set of adjusted times, and they convert those adjusted times to figures on a scale. That's all they do. It's really a simpler process than most handicappers understand. But it helps us compare horses that have run at different distances and on different surfaces. Who publishes speed figures? There are numerous publications. Today's Racing Digest publishes them. The Daily Racing Form has the prominent buyer speed figures. There's Brisnet. That's a professional handicapping service in this country. There's Equibase. They publish speed figures. There's the Ragus and Sheets and Thoroughbred that have professional speed figures. So there's numbers of publishers, and most professional speed figures are comparable in quality, reliability, and utility. Let's look at the Daily Racing Form buyer speed figures. They're the most common and most prominent, and you find them in the Daily Racing Form. Based on the final time and adjusted by the track variant is just an estimate of how fast or slow the track is playing on a particular day in relation to what is normal. And there's a figure for each race. Now, reminding you, look at Miss Double Dots in the graphic. You can see on the red rectangle her series of speed figures. June the 5th, her most recent race, she earned a buyer 83. And prior to that, she earned a 75 and a 72. And prior to that, an 83 and an 85. So that's her column or array of speed figures in her most recent 7 races. Today's Racing Digest has final time ratings, FTR, for Thundering Cloud. The Digest uses a different rating system, but still, the higher the figure, the faster the horse. Look at the times that are adjusted to today's race, from the first, second, and third fractions to the final time. Those are all adjusted times. And Today's Racing Digest not only gives you a final time rating in the brackets, the red bracket, but it also gives you a pace rating to the left of that final time rating, and the LF column means a late fraction. How fast did the horses come home? And that can be very important in grass races, sometimes much more important than the speed figure in grass racing. So the digest numbers are useful, in particular for grass racing. You want to know what that LF fraction really is. But the digest scale is similar to most scales. The higher the better. The Ragusan scale and the Thoroughbred scale, the lower the better, but most scales, the higher the figure, the faster the horse. How are speed figures used? They're used in 2 comparative purposes. How do horses stack up against each other? Some horse or a couple horses are always going to have the high speed figures in the field, and they're often referred to as the figure horse in the race. But those comparisons can be misleading. The far more reliable comparison is how do horses stack up against an average time called a par time. What's the par time for this race? And if the horse races to par or within a couple lengths of par, that can be a more reliable figure than just the high figure in relation to the other horses. The sucker bet in speed handicapping is the high figure horse in the field when all the horses are slow. It's trying to pick the least slow of a bunch of slow horses, and that's hard to do. So if you can get access to par times, average times, which are not in the past performances, you can make the comparison between the horse's speed figure and the par time, not just one horse's figure in relation to the other horse's figures. There are certain patterns, and pattern recognition is a skill that if you're good at pattern recognition, you're more likely to be a skillful speed handicapper. The figures are either going up, an improving horse, or they're going down, the horse is going bad. So obviously you want horses that are on an improvement cycle and not a declining cycle. But there are numerous other patterns. These can be very uneven patterns, and there are certain patterns that you're going to have to learn how to recognize based on your experience. Comparing speed figures. Let's compare the Beyer's speed figures. Which horse appears to be the faster based on past 5 races, horse A or horse B? Well, obviously it's horse A. 85, 83, 79, 82, 81. We don't know what the class of the race was or the distance of the race or the surface, just that he's running faster than B, which is 75, 78, 77, 65, 78. A in this case is obviously the faster horse. Speed figure patterns. Example of a horse whose speed figures are improving. From July 1st, a Beyer 96, way back to March 5th when he was running a Beyer 84. This horse improved 11 points on the Beyer scale. On the Beyer scale, 1 length is equal to about 2.5 points going short. So 2 lengths would be 5 points, 3 lengths 7.5, 4 lengths 10 points. Going long, or in a route race, one length is equal to about 2 points. So 2 lengths in a route race would be 4 points, 2 lengths in a sprint race would be 5 points. And the final time ratings for the today's Racing Digest are similar. An improving horse went from 129 to 144 on the Digest scale. One of the things you can look for is whether a young horse's speed figures are improving as he moves up in class and runs his best races. Each time he runs his best race against better horses, are the figures improving? That's a good sign. If they're uneven, it's questionable, and certainly if they're declining, it's not a good thing. Here's an example, the next graphic, an example of a horse whose speed figures are going down. So this is a horse from July 1st through March 5th. March 5th he was running about a Beyer 84, and by July 1st he was running 56, 67, 78 in between. Not a good sign, not an improving horse, obviously. Speed figure patterns, again, pattern recognition is an important skill in speed handicapping, and it's basically a function of experience. Don't expect to recognize these patterns right at the start. You won't be able to. Here's an example of an inconsistent horse. Tends to regress after races where he earns a high speed figure. A lot of horses will deliver one strong race, the speed figure will be good. And look at this horse on March the 5th. He ran a Beyer 84, and on April 20th, 6 weeks later, ran a Beyer 70. He declined 14 points going in a sprint. That's about 5 lengths. And then back on May 15th, there he's up to an 80 again, but down to a 72, up to an 83. And obviously, you're going to have to learn how to read this horse's form cycle. When's he improving? When's he declining? So speed figures aid the handicapper in identifying contenders. I like to use speed figures to identify contenders, horses that can run close to the pars, within 2 lengths of the pars in sprints, within 3 lengths or 6 points in routes, are contenders in the race. A lot of races are won by horses that run slower than par, so we want to be flexible but not careless. Look for improving and declining horses, and the speed figures just show you how fast a horse has run when placed at the proper distance, surface, and class. Reliability. They're a reflection only of the past. Obviously, we want to use them to project what he's going to do today, but the speed figures tell how fast the horses have run in the past. They aren't machines, and we also have to deal with their form cycle. Is the pace going to be comfortable? Is it the right distance? Is it the right surface? This is an important part of the handicapping process, but it's not everything by a long shot. No guarantee they'll repeat their previous figures. Cheap horses don't repeat their previous figures, and good horses tend to run comparable figures most of the time. Numerous factors affect a horse's performance, and hence their speed figures: pace, class, surface, distance. Speed figures are not reality, but estimates of reality. I like to say this, let's repeat it. Speed figures are not reality. They're estimates of reality, and they contain degrees of error, usually slight and sometimes gross. That's the way to think about it. Reflect speed based on time. They reflect speed based on time. They may or may not reflect the other attributes of class, stamina, and determination, but they do a very good job, much better than the actual times, of reflecting how horses have run based on the times that they've earned. They're an important and useful handicapping tool, but they're only one tool to solve a large puzzle, and they must be used in conjunction with other handicapping factors. Try to become a good speed handicapper. Most of the most talented handicappers in this country are very savvy and very skillful with speed figures, and you should be too. Good luck.
If you're ready to start using your new handicapping skills today, go to www.todaysracingdigest.com to download today's issue of Today's Racing Digest. What makes the digest unique is we make handicapping easy and fun by giving you speed figures and past performances that are simple to use because they've already been adjusted to today's race distance and surface. The digest takes the work out of handicapping. Our experienced staff watches and analyzes each race every day so you don't have to. The analysis is then presented in a fun and informative manner, allowing you to find betting opportunities that might otherwise have been missed.